ADDing over me. So look at
me. Look at me. Forget them.
I'm seeing all this over here out of my...
And you're absolutely right. And I did put up a post by the head of the SEC who was complaining about the lack of capital formation for small businesses. And he was decrying that the idea is we keep adding more and more rules, but we never take away from those rules.
Right.
And it's a case of, while he's talking about all the financial rules, especially with Dodd-Frank now finally being fleshed out, and you keep wondering, the rate of entrepreneurship of new business startups is now sinking. That used to be our strength as a nation.
Right.
And I'm looking at all this stuff going on, going, I did my own business. I would never want to start my own business again because it's too hard.
Right.
We've gotten to the point of there's too many laws. The ordinary person can't understand them all, can't even find them. So what would I like the idea, the Office of the Repealer. Yep. Is that something that we should look at here in New Hampshire? Because we're a relatively small state. Could we do this? Is there a will to do this?
Well, I think that's where we would definitely need to be talking to others. I think once, it's kind of like you're going to have to flush out what happens after the November election. And then to me, what I would like to do when I win this position is to connect with other senators, other House members, like House Republican Alliance folks, and start, how can we do this? How can we make this happen? Because I really, to be honest with you, we have so many barriers to entry. And, I'll go back to the licensing thing just because it's my pet peeve, is when you have an EMT that can be certified for 26 days of education training, and it takes a cosmetologist, hairdresser, 350 days to be certified. You have to scratch your head and go,
that's crazy.
And again, I still, what are we doing? And who's looking out for the taxpayers' money?
Yeah, I mean, Rick is the president of the Londonderry Fish and Game, and trying to expand to do some more gun ranges. The amount of hassle you have to be able to move dirt on their own land.
Yeah.
That's all it is, too, moving dirt.
Yes,
we're going to take a break. We'll get back to the dirt in the next segment because we're talking to Kathy. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Few things are as important as finding the right doctor. And under Obamacare, that's harder than ever. Over a third of our hospitals no longer available. Our doctors no longer covered. Fewer choices, longer drives. No state has been harder hit than us. And even after watching it impact New Hampshire, Congresswoman Ann Custer still supports it. Call Ann Custer. Tell her Obamacare isn't working for New Hampshire. We are struggling. Rising healthcare costs are part of the problem. Senator Jean Shaheen helped create this mess we're in. As a state senator, her bill chased 21 insurers out of our state. It reduced our choices, raised prices for New Hampshire families, and when Jean Shaheen supported Obamacare, it limited access to 10 of our 26 hospitals, reducing our choices again. Tell Jean Shaheen she's made healthcare worse.
Welcome back. We're talking about regulations, costs, burdens, and of course, we're talking with Kathy Rago, who's running for the New Hampshire State Senate to help relieve us of those costs, regulations, and burdens.
In State Senate, District 7, which encompasses which towns, Kathy?
It encompasses Guilford, Laconia, Northfield, Belmont, Franklin, Andover. I have to count them on my fingers as I go. Canterbury, Salisbury, Boscawen, and Webster.
Wow. It's a good-sized area.
Yeah, it is. And it's from one range to another. So, I mean, I love the area. I love the Lakes region. I've been there for 15 years. And it's sweet. I love Webster Lake. I go kayaking on there quite often. And, I want to get in there to relieve the taxpayer somehow and promote. The other thing you talked about, what government should do. One of the things government can do well is when we're promoting economics, let's say. Like, I've had people come up to me that are dealing with, like, the Weirs Beach. I don't know if you folks have been to the Weirs, but it's a beautiful area. But there's a strip there that's very, it's not pedestrian friendly. There's a little section there where some of the restaurants are, where you can't, not the strip where the beach is itself, but the connecting one. And somebody had suggested, why don't we look at somehow, doing something to put sidewalks up here? Because I've been there before, and you go to that restaurant and then you want to come across the street to go into the Weirs. It's like you put your life in your hands because it's so non-friendly. And if we're going to be promoting the economy, we should be looking at, and I think that's one of the things government and private enterprise.
I think government's job would be to get the hell out of the way and let the people who profit from that take advantage of the opportunity to fix it and say, listen, we have a solution. We want to put in sidewalks. We'll help pay for it. This is why. Let's come together. You don't take 5 years to approve this, and we'll do it sooner.
And I agree with you. 100%.
And that's it, because it's study after study after study, an ungodly amount of time. I mean, there's a story out of California now that the people are crowing about the success of their environmental laws because it literally took 20 years for a developer to finally get all the permissions to be able to do his project. 20 years, and this is a success. This is the environmentalists who basically say, our job is to not allow anything.
Correct.
And you've got a personal story with what you're going on with, just trying to do something.
We paid $46,000 in engineering and permit costs, and we haven't even put a shovel into the ground yet. But that wasn't the hard part. The hard part for me was just the mere fact that one bureaucratic hack within a town is left with the discretion to decide how much or whether a restoration bond is going to be imposed, okay? Now, we are not building Walmart, we're not building McDonald's, we're not impacting any major thoroughfare. Okay, we're moving some dirt out in the middle of nowhere, okay? So now we're told we get all of our approvals, we're right there where we're at the point where we can break ground. And we're told, oh, yeah, by the way, you got to have a restoration bond posted. Oh, really? How much is that? $168,000. Well, $168,000 is the real-world money value of the project going forward. Now, the way bonds work, for those who don't know, is you pay so many dollars per thousand. So for a $168,000 restoration bond, it's going to cost around $5,000. Okay, that was a quote coming from Ohio Casualty, who does the bonding. So I'm thinking, no. If we take this project, we begin it, and then we stop midstream, it's probably not going to cost us $15,000 to get some bulldozers in and move everything back to where it was. Because remember, the primary basis for this project is berms, all right? And we're using native materials, i.e. materials that are existing and already there. The only thing we're modifying is the rock crushing. We have a lot of stone and shale, and we're going to use a rock crusher. So that's really the only, making bigger rocks into littler rocks. That's the only modification we're doing.
Yeah, in a sense, all you're doing is lining up 6 to 8 bulldozers, having them go in a straight line for 400 yards and stop.
Pretty much.
That's it for a new shooting range. That's it.
Well, we got to move. We're impacting 38,000 metric tons of material.
Yeah, but still, for people just wondering what we're talking about, you're just doing another firing range. That's it. You're not even building anything. And this is government getting in the way.
I agree.
But I mean, the bond issue, he stood firm on that number, and and this is where I throw out the name Representative Al Baldessaro, because Al Baldessaro, okay, the man is, I called him Mr. X-Lax. You know why? Because he makes crap happen. He really does. He's a guy that can really make stuff. He's just got an ability, Al Baldessaro, I called him up because I was in a bad mood and I felt like complaining. So I called him up and I says, Al, these hacks, and I won't say what I really said, but these hacks in Londonderry town government are driving me bananas. our project's in jeopardy because he says we got, and he cuts me off and he says, meet me at the town hall in 20 minutes.
Wow.
So where I try to get an appointment, an audience with the town manager. Al is the sort of guy that can walk through the door and bang, it happens.
Oh yeah, they see him and they're like, oh crap.
Well, no, his door. I mean, Kevin Smith's a great guy. If you know Kevin,
I know Kevin.
Smith.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
he is a great guy.
And but he's a very busy guy too, so it's hard to get a meeting with him. But somehow, some way, Al has that where he can walk in and Kevin drops what he's doing,
Yep.
and we had a meeting. So where we're at now is we had another meeting Wednesday or Thursday, and now he wants a $80,000. This is after we got the lawyers, guns, and money involved, So we got our lawyer involved, and, we took some pretty aggressive. We threw that, fired a few shots across the bow. So now we're going to have an $80,000 restoration bond, a construction meeting. And here's the other thing that kills me, okay? We have to put an escrow up of $5,000 for inspection fees. You know why? Because they hire a third-party engineering firm to come in and inspect our work. But the firm they hire, and I won't say their name because I don't want to get sued for slander because but they're corrupt, okay? If anybody is a money-grubbing, make fees organization, that particular firm is. And you know what? I've seen and heard all I needed to see and hear. So now, when we go to the construction meeting, we're not just going to go there with our contractor, Advanced Excavation out of Suncook. Great company, by the way. Work with us, bend over backwards for us. They're just fantastic guys. Okay, 30 seconds. The bottom line is that we're going to go into this construction meeting and start building this thing. We're going to have a lawyer. We're going to have an independent engineer, and we shouldn't have to have those things.
But the state made it happen.
Yeah.
Kathy, how do people get in touch with you?
They can go on my website, Kathy4nh.com, or they can email me at Kathy@Kathy4nh.com.
Trying to get into the New Hampshire Senate to solve the problems that Rick has just been relating to us, along with hundreds of others, and maybe even thousands of others.
Call me a skeptic.
Call me a skeptic. I know, it's tough. It's
Absolutely.
tough. All right.
Hey, Kathy, I need to get together with you because I got more questions. So
Yep.
I can bring camera and we can do another interview.
Okay, that'd
All
be
right,
great.
we will do
Thank
that.
you
All
for
right.
having me, guys.
We are glad to have you here. This is GrokTALK. I'm Steve McDonald here with Skip Murphy. And, of course, Rick Olson's here. Kathy Rago, thank you so much for spending some time with us. And we will be back in a couple minutes with Ed Nail and Rick Olson.
Senator Jeanne Shaheen said, if you like your current health plan, you can keep it. That's not true, Senator. 22,000 New Hampshire citizens have been kicked off their insurance plans. Hospitals in Rochester, Concord, and Portsmouth, they aren't allowed to provide care under the exchange. Senator, you were wrong in your comments. You should apologize for your misleading remarks. I'm calling Senator Shaheen at 750-3004 and telling her I want my doctor back. You should too.
Paid for by saberpac.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
We are struggling. Rising healthcare costs are part of the problem. Senator Jeanne Shaheen helped create this mess we're in. As a state senator, her bill chased 21 insurers out of our state. It reduced our choices, raised prices for New Hampshire families, and when Jeanne Shaheen supported Obamacare, it limited access to 10 of our 26 hospitals, reducing our choices again. Tell Jeanne Shaheen she's made healthcare worse. Few things are as important as finding the right doctor. And under Obamacare, that's harder than ever. Over a third of our hospitals no longer available. Our doctors no longer covered. Fewer choices, longer drives. No state has been harder hit than us. And even after watching it impact New Hampshire, Congresswoman Ann Custer still supports it. Call Ann Custer. Tell her Obamacare isn't working for New Hampshire.
This is a coalition of New Hampshire taxpayers. We're located at 8 North Main in Concord, New Hampshire. This is a repository for all things conservative and municipal. So if you have a problem in your town, your school, your budget committee, the right to know law, and now at the top of our list is voter fraud. You have a tip for us, some information for us, you want to join or help us out, cnht.org.